Hello everyone. We are actually going to do part 2 of chapter 1. So we were talking about basically how we can use the information systems in a company. And now we are going to talk about how information technology can support the information systems. There are a lot of usage of information technology in the organization. One of the usage is just by using the internet. A lot of companies, people are using internet to search stuff, to find different information and help them to basically do their businesses. Another technology that can help, another information technology that can help the businesses is computer networks. In most of the organization, or I can say all of the organization, they basically have computer networks which are connecting the computers together and which they can actually, communicate with each other, do even basic things such as printing, to one printer, and basically they can, communicate and get connected to the internet. There is another information technology that can help the businesses is basically database systems. Database systems in the organization are being used to support managing the data and organizing data in the database systems. So all of the organization, doesn't matter if you are working at the bank or at the hospital or at the university, you have to deal with some sort of a database system which will keep the data of that company. Point of sale system is another information technology that is being used in a lot of sales industry. Like, for example, if you go to Publix, or if you go to Trader Joe's or another grocery shop, you can see the point of sales, as well as Walmart and Target and all of that. It helping them with managing their sales, and customers can also use that. Radio frequency identifiers is another technology that is being used to support the businesses. For example, Walmart is using this RFID tags to be able to track the packages that's going around and to know what kind of a box is in this area, so that they can deliver it to the closest Walmart. So RFID tags are being used to also manage the inventory in the Walmart organization. We said that basically it is very important to have accurate and on time and relevant information. And this is a critical tool for any organization. These type of, accuracy, relevancy, and being on time can help the company with the competitive advantage and to be competitive in the marketplace. We will talk right now about different type of information systems that you might see in a companies. One of them is called personal information systems, or HRIS. Basically, human resource information system. This type of information system is helping the HR department of a company to be able to reduce some costs and basically manage the employee, for example, benefits, like the employee information, such as their phone numbers, addresses, and so on. So this type of a web technology could improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the HR department, and also it could provide self-service to the employees, so that the employees don't bother the HR department all the time, and it's going to limit the amount of paperwork. Another information system which you might see in a lot of organizations that are using logistics, for example, like Amazon, they have a logistic information system, which also that reduces the cost of transportation material, and also making sure that that product is being delivered and it's reliable, and they can actually track that. Another information system that you might see in a lot is in the manufacturing organization, especially, is manufacturing information system, which enables the company to be able to manage the manufacturing resources, which also can reduce the manufacturing cost, can increase the product quality, and also can help with inventory decision making to know which product to buy or what is not in the inventory, so maybe they can order it on time. So it is helping the management to be able to manage the inventory in the manufacturing companies. We have another source of information system, which is called financial information system. This actually provides information for financial executives, the CFO of the company, chief financial officers, or the CEO of the company, chief executive officers, in a timely manner. And they can actually use this system to be able to make decisions. We have also marketing information systems. Marketing information system is actually providing timely and accurate information or integrated information of what kind of a promotion, what kind of a campaign is good. Also can help with the marketing decision making. So marketing managers can look at this and see what kind of a campaign has worked for what product, what kind of a pricing they need to actually work with, and what kind of a place or location they can actually use for their advertising. We will talk about Michael Porter. There is this model that has been developed by Michael Porter, and he has 3 strategies for competing in the marketplace. Michael Porter actually developed this model and these strategies in 1979. He was a Harvard Business School professor, and he talks about 3 strategies and 5 forces model. 3 strategies that he talks about is, first of all, is the overcost leadership. The great example of that would be Walmart, to controlling the costs, so to being the leader in the marketplace. Another one is to be differentiating yourself from your competitors, to actually be able to provide products that is differentiating yourself from other competitors. Apple could be a great example for this. And also your focus. Another strategy that companies can use to be competitive is being focused on certain materials or certain products. Abercrombie could be another example, maybe, for in terms of a focus. They focus on certain customers and they're focused on certain products that and certain materials that those type of customers will buy. So information system can actually help the organization to reduce cost of the products. It can actually improve efficiency by reducing the overall cost, and also it can focus on generating new revenues for companies. So now we are going to talk about 5 forces model by Michael Porter, and understand those those competitive forces. One of those forces is basically that he talks about is competitive rivalry, or rivalry among existing competitors. This force looks at how intense the competition currently is in the marketplace and determines by the number of existing competitors and what each competitor is capable of doing. Rivalry competition is normally high when there are just a few businesses equally selling a product or service. When the industry is growing and when the customer can easily switch to a competitor offering for a little cost. We can look at some of the examples. I'm going to look at Under Armour in terms of the basically the apparel, in terms of the basically apparel industry. Under Armour actually faces intensive competition from some companies such as Nike Adidas, and some other companies. Nike and Adidas, they have both considerably large resources at their disposal, and they are making a big player in terms of a performance apparel. So Under Armour has to kind of compete with those companies. Another force that Market Porter is talking about is bargaining power of supplier. This force analyzes how much a power business supplier has and how much control it has over the potential to raise its prices, which in return would lower business profitability. In terms of bargaining power of supplier, again, in terms of Under Armour, a diverse supplier base limits bargaining power. We can say in 2012, Under Armour products were produced by 27 manufacturing located across 14 or 15 different countries. Of those, top 10 accounted for 50% of the products manufactured. Another force that Michael Porter is talking about is basically bargaining power of customers or buyers. Under Armour customers include both wholesale customers as well as end product. Wholesale customers, maybe you don't know about, but some customers such as Dick's Sporting Goods and the Sport Authority, they actually hold a certain degree of bargaining leverage, as they could also substitute Under Armour's product with other competitors to gain higher margin. And then another force that Michael Porter is talking about is threat of new entrants. Large capital costs are basically required for branding, advertising, and creating product demand. And this limits the entry of new player in the sport apparel market. So in that case, Under Armour is kind of a little bit safe, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any threat. And threat of substitute product is another force that Michael Porter talks about. In terms of basically Under Armour, we can think about the demand for performance apparel, sport footwear is actually growing. A lot of people want those type of materials. So basically, this force doesn't threat Under Armour that much. You can actually think about other industry. Let's think about maybe Coca-Cola, maybe Facebook, Nike, Coach, and you can actually put it in this model and see how they can basically compete with the competitors in this high demanding market. So this is example, this is a picture of all these 5 forces model that we just talked about. Next thing that we will talk about is basically categorizing of IT jobs. One of the first entry-level jobs that a lot of IT people get is help desk or operating desk. Basically, they troubleshoot computers. They help the customer with setting up their computers or getting onto computers. Another category could be a programming position. Basically, programmers, they can program a specific task. And nowadays, programmers, they don't work alone. They work in teams. Another category would be system analysis and design, to design a new system, to analyze existing systems. Another category would be web design and web hosting. A lot of companies nowadays, they have websites. So this is actually a growing market as well. Another category would be in terms of network design and maintenance, which, a lot of companies, they have lots of networks and they need to be able to maintain and prepare for disaster recovery. Another category of IT job market is database design and maintenance. So to be able to design and maintain the database, as we spoke before, a lot of industries, they have tons of databases. So for example, financial companies, a bank has to deal with the database of customers, of accounts. a university has to deal with database of faculty, students, classes. And another field that is growing as well is robotics and artificial intelligence. We will talk more about these categories. Some of the job titles that you might hear, the top level job belongs to the Chief Technology Officer or Chief Information Officer. Before, we only have Chief Executive Officer sitting on the top of the org chart, but nowadays you have the CIO actually sitting with the CEO because nowadays businesses cannot run without IT. And then we have the Chief Privacy Officer. These are responsible for managing risk and business impact of privacy laws and policies. And nowadays there are a lot of privacy laws and policies, and Chief Privacy Officer is another terminology that we use in the org chart for a person who is managing this risk and responsible for making sure that the privacy is not being invaded. We have another job title, MIS, or Management Information Systems, and this person is responsible for managing hardware, software, and resources within the organization. We have another job title, System Analyst, is responsible for design and implementing the information system. Normally, system analysts need to understand the system and needs to understand the business side of the system as well as the IT. We have a job title also called Network Administrator, which is dealing with the network of the company and managing the network, making sure that the network is up and running, and also making sure that the network is secure. So field of cybersecurity and networking is also growing and it's in high demand. We have another job title as Database Administrator. Database Administrator is responsible for maintaining and administrating the database and making sure that they check the log files. They need to make sure that they do backup and recoveries. They need to also make sure that they have a disaster recovery plan in case of a database goes down or some disaster happens. We also have a job title called programmer, computer programmer, which also writes program and writes program to do a specific task. As I have mentioned before, nowadays programmers, they actually work in teams to be able to collaborate and in a collaborative environment. Also, we have another position called webmaster, which is responsible for designing and maintaining websites. So now we are going to look at the outlook of the IT and what the future holding for the field of information technology. One thing that you can see is hardware and software costs are actually declining. Probably now the cost of the hard drive is much less than maybe 5 years ago. Also, the cost of software is decreasing because of a lot of open source softwares that are out there that they don't have to pay. Some of the open source softwares are like Linux, like OpenOffice, and there are tons of other open source softwares that are out there. The field of artificial intelligence and robotics are also increasing. The robots are being used not only, for performing certain tasks, but also in a manufacturing, as a manufacturing robot to move things around, to manage the inventory. Also, the computer literacy and networking technology is improving. People are getting more familiar with word processes, spreadsheet, databases, and now this is becoming required for many jobs in an organization. Personal computers, in terms of the power and quality, are also being improved. Same as our softwares, like before Windows would crash many times, but nowadays you will see a blue screen. Nowadays you might not see that anymore, or you will see it very less. Internet is growing very rapidly, and the field of cloud computing and storing on the cloud is also in high demand. A lot of more companies are actually storing their data on the cloud, and there is a big concern of the privacy and security as well. Computer criminals will become more sophisticated, and protecting personal information is becoming more harder and harder. And you will see a lot of things in news about hacking information systems to get credit card information, and a lot of credit card informations are being compromised, and they are being loaded on the internet, and people who don't need to know those, they will get access it, or they will sell it online. Okay, so we are just going to go through some of the key terms that we have covered. Some of the key terms that you should remember is business intelligence, computer literacy, data, database, 5 force models of Porter, information. Also, some of the other key terms is information literacy, information technology, also management information system, transaction processing systems. So we will do a little review, and I'm going to do this final summary, and then we will end this session. Well, we talked about different type of information system. One of the information we talked about was transaction processing system, which focuses on data collection and processing. We talked about some of the example of information technology in the retail, like point of sale system, radio frequency, identification tags, and mobile devices. We also talked about the 4 components of the MIS system: data, database, process, and information. We also talked about the Porter's model, Michael Porter, which talked about 3 strategy: overall, cost, leadership, differentiation, and focus. And also we talked about Michael Porter's 5 forces model, and how can businesses use this model to improve their competitiveness: buyer power, supplier power, threat of substitute of products, threat of new entrants, and rivalry among existing competitors. We also talked about the IT jobs that are in demand. 2 of the IT jobs that are in high demand are information security specialists, database specialists, network specialists. And we talked about some of the 3 applications of HRIS, basically trying to manage the employees. We talked about finding the best candidate, and also we talked about maybe using the system to be able to predict future personnel needs. We also talked about the internet, which is growing rapidly, and we talked about cloud computing, how that is being used and it's going to be in the demand. We also talked about the robotics and the field of artificial intelligence that is as well as growing. And I think that's it for this lecture. If you have any question, please feel free to email me or contact me. And I have my office hours posted on the syllabus as well. I hope you have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.